Bruce, thanks so much for taking a few minutes with us. Before we dive into the status and the X's and O's of your team, what's life like right now? And it's got to be a little bit strange considering it's November and maybe you're doing more golfing than being at the rinks right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jamison Panger. It is odd not to be at a rink. I'm actually heading to my son's practice today. My daughter was yesterday, so I'm in a rink, but unfortunately not ours right now. It sounds like things are happening. Hopefully, medically with the vaccine on the horizon, maybe that'll sort of get us going and talking hockey again about getting some sort of schedule together and getting back on the ice. But time will tell in that regard. But hopefully, for everybody's sake, we can stay healthy and get back to pro sports.
How do you approach the kind of lull in the program right now? Because we talk to players and, they're back in the gyms working out. You as the head coach of the Bruins, how do you kind of stay mentally sharp for whenever the season does return?
Well, I've gone through our playoff series with the most recent, obviously, Carolina and Tampa Bay. We're not going to change a lot of different things, but I think you have to certainly adapt when things don't go well. So there's a couple areas of our game we've looked at, how we're going to break out pucks from our neutral zone defense, do a better job with that, being cleaner, offensive blue line play. How can we generate more 5-on-5 scoring with that? And obviously with our blue line a little bit in flux right now, we want to wait and see who's going to be at training camp and go from there. But those are a couple areas I've looked at a little closer. Power play now, who replaces Torrey Krug. We've got Matt Grzelcyk, who's done a good job in the past. There you got McAvoy that could slide in there, or who knows who else if we make another move, right? So those are some things as a coach. And then there's we have a mentorship program through the NHL Coaches Association, and different guys present. So I always catch up on that. I was watching Mike Sullivan's presentation last night. So there's some things to do. Got lots of time to do it. Don't get me wrong. So you can kind of pick and choose your hours when you want to do it. But that's what I've done to keep busy. I think all the assistant coaches have, small projects that they're doing, and hopefully we can get in and meet and go through it soon.
Butchie, you're just talking about maybe the change in the game. Is it difficult as a coach when you look at a couple of years ago, you faced St. Louis? We saw it in the years past where teams are heavier teams or maybe hold on to pucks a little bit more. And now you see that Tampa Bay. Do you feel, though, Butchie, that you've got a team that can play any which way you want to play, depending on the opposition?
I do. I think we're good that way. I think we have good team speed. We got good skill, puck possession. I think we have size to play in those, heavier, low-scoring games. We got good team defense, so we should be in every game. Obviously not quite good enough again this year, so we're going to look to improve. Some of that will be personnel driven, and some of it we're going to have to look at how do we change the way we play without sort of, blowing up everything. Because I still think we have a good, solid structure in place. Our players all adhere to it. It's just making the appropriate tweaks here and there, and getting some fortunate breaks along the way with injuries and things like that. So that's what I'm looking at as a coach, once we get back up and running. I think Tampa's a lot closer than St. Louis than maybe people thought this year in terms of how they played hard and good team defense too. I thought they changed the way they played the latter half of the year and really were hard to play against, more so than in the past, which was, very typical of St. Louis. So good for Tampa for being able to do that. They still found ways to score, but I thought they did a real good job keeping the puck out of their net as well.
Well, speaking of doing a great job, after losing in the final on home ice and coming back last year as a head coach of Boston and winning the President's Trophy, Butchie, it goes without saying, congratulations on the Jack Adams Award. To be the coach of the year in the National Hockey League, after all you've been through, I know you and I were teammates a long time ago, and we played on a lot of different teams together, but from the East Coast League, the American Hockey League, and then to win the Jack Adams at the NHL. First of all, what did that mean to you, and did you maybe receive a present today that looks similar to that trophy?
Yeah, that's ironic. It showed up in the mail today. I was literally half an hour ago, so I just unpacked it. It's a great, I think it's the ultimate organization award from your president, GM, scouts, coaching staff, and obviously the players right on down. But, for me personally, Julie and the kids, they've supported me from day one. It's not easy being a coach's wife. And so, a lot of credit on the home front here. I, found better balance over the years with, your personal life and your sort of hockey life, because it certainly is long hours, but so a big tip of the cap to the family. and obviously the Bruins family. I get my name on it, which is, like I said, a great honor, but I think it's the ultimate team award. And, I'm proud of our guys for making it happen.
The question out there right now, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, Zdeno Chara remains unsigned, and the reports coming out the other day that there are other teams highly interested in his services. As the head coach, and as you kind of think about the depth on your blue line, does the thought even cross your mind of what this team might look like without Big Z on the back end?
Well, it has, because, there's been conversation that he may not be back. So, ultimately those decisions made by management, obviously coaches have input. But for me, the part of it that's a little bit impersonal is they're always preparing for who is in the lineup. So we're looking at, if Z's not in, could Lozon go in and do the job? And Jeremy played hard this year. He's a bigger body. He's bigger than people think. He's about 215 pounds. He plays hard. He's not 6'9", but he's a big guy, and he can do some of the things that Z brings to the table in terms of shutting down good players, playing hard against good players. He's got some work to do on the penalty kill, obviously, to get to where Z's at, but that's another area that we feel he can help us. So, and then you have some of the young guys we picked a few years ago. You got Vakanainen and Zaboral are both first-round picks. Lozon was a second. So a little bit of that circle of life situation where, you draft and develop, and they've had good years down in Providence. So we may have to find out, are they ready to play or not? And we've done that with other players here. Obviously, McAvoy was a little more accelerated, but Carlo went through it. We went through it with Grzelcyk. So, that's something we're looking at. And we feel Kevin Miller, skating is back to being healthy. He's got to play games to prove that his body can get through it. But he brings some of that big brother and bite that, if Z weren't to be here, that can make up for some of that. So that's what we're looking at in the back end. And again, maybe opportunity for other guys to step up in the leadership department, like a Carlo, like a McAvoy, like a Grzelcyk, that have been here for a few years. And maybe they, sort of that influences their game as well, and become a little more of consistent players every night. So that's the upside of it. The downside is Z's a Hall of Famer. He's going into the Hall of Fame. When you lose a player like that, it's going to hurt a little bit. But that's what we're looking at. Could happen. And then with Krug gone, obviously, he's another guy that was a high-end player for us, that we need those other guys we just talked about to step up their game, especially offensively, to make up the difference for that loss.
Well, I would be remiss after your great analysis right there, which I always enjoy when you do the pregame show on the radio stuff and you do the postgame show. You can talk hockey with the best of them, but I'd be remiss if I didn't go back to the glory days. I was telling them here, Butchie, that we have some history together, big fella.
Yeah, we do. We do.
And
look at that fat baby face of mine there. Banger, you had a full head of hair back then too. Times have changed. There you go. That was a great year. Kudos to Brian Killeray, our coach. He did a great job with us. Sure did. That was a lot of fun.
He just turned 86, and I called him the other day, and we talked about you and talked about Brad Shaw, and Adam Creighton was right there, who's a pro scout for Boston as well.
Yeah, so. He's with us. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Gary Roberts had a nice year for us. We had a nice team that year, and able to win in Kitchener on the road. So yeah, I had fond memories from that year, 1984.
Okay,
yep, very good.
You're not a braggart style of guy. You never have been. It's always been about the team. But can you drag that trophy?
It's sitting
somewhere?
right next to you.
Come on, drag that trophy right there and let us see the sucker.
You mean this little thing, Panger, right here? This little thing. There it is. Just showed up in the mail today.
Well deserved.
That is awesome, Butchie. Way to go. Yeah. Proud of you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. A humble guy. He would not have brought that in had we not forced him in Asso. Bruce Cassidy, congratulations on the Jack Adams. Wish you nothing but the best when the Bruins and hockey returns in the upcoming season. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks, Jameson. Thanks, Panger.